Orcs Must Die 3 doesn't pull any punches in the campaign, but with understanding what is coming here in the final battle, you will be able to beat it every single time. Here's how to do it. First up, let's talk loadout. For the war scenarios here, the archers are a workhorse unit, and their platform to be able to place them up is pretty important in this one, I find. And then I also really like this snow trap and these boulders that you unlock just here in this scenario. The enemies are out in full force. They have every single different type of enemy available to them besides flyers, which we get after the campaign. So we need to be ready to deal any kind of damage out of the basic traps that we are bringing. I like to use the spike trap, this one upgraded to do the electric damage, and then we have the tar trap, brimstone, spike wall, snow cannon, ceiling laser, barricade, and confusion flower. And then I also have the health regeneration trinket because I've just kind of gotten addicted to playing with that, and whenever I don't play with it, I die a whole lot. So to save me from embarrassment, we're going to have that tacked on to the end. Now let's talk strategy. This encounter is very segmented and the waves never run directly into each other, so you're always given time to be able to prepare in between waves, pick up your trap lines and move them to where they are needed. So right now the orcs are attacking us from the front. They have two bridges up to be able to get at our fortress, but we have laid down some clever barricades to be able to force them through a gauntlet of traps and our archers. We have barricaded off this door, laid down our traps, put our boulders here, archers up in the fortification, and then we have also barricaded off this side approach to force the orcs coming from this side across that smaller bridge to rejoin the main force and have to run the full gauntlet of the traps. Check the timestamps if you want to check my preparation and trap lines between every wave. For now, I'm just going to be here killing some orcs. The only real concern that you have here clearing out the orcs during this wave is trying to make sure that they don't bring down this barricade. It's out in the open. It can take quite a beating, but there are some of these, like the little flame spitters, that are going to ram right into it to deal some extra damage. And so trying to keep those numbers under control is pretty important. And otherwise, just thinning the herd to make it easier for your archers to be able to get through them is all you have to do to be able to make it through this wave. I've occasionally seen this barricade go down, but it usually has enough health to be able to survive regardless of how much support you are able to give it. Wave 2 is going to be more of the same, bringing up the difficulty level, and here is where we can actually use this tossing trap to be able to thin out the waves of fiends coming from this direction. The key here is that you do want it to be directed over against the cliff over here, because if you aim it this way, instead of dropping them into the river, it's actually going to catapult them all the way over to bypass some of your defenses onto that side, and you don't want that. This is the first dark rift that he is able to open, and so these can spawn anywhere out on the map. I mean, anywhere, but they have set positions. And so as soon as you see it, you want to be watching your minimap for where they are coming in, rather than just at the beginning of the waves in preparation. None of the orcs that come out of this are going to be overpowering. Like, you don't have to have extra traps on hand to be able to stop them. You do also have these fire gauntlets to be able to drop down on them if you need the extra support and you don't think that your base weapon is going to be strong enough to get through them. But you can handle that first one pretty easily, and any of the other dark rifts that are going to spawn later, basically the same thing. Being ready to just kind of sprint to them to take care of whatever comes out, and you can do so just on your own without having to bring extra traps as reinforcements. Wave 3 here, and we see on the minimap that the orcs are choosing to attack from a different corner of the fortress, so it's time to pick up all of our traps and move over to meet the horde. And by pick up all of the traps, I really do mean all of them. We don't need them out here right now. We want all of our rift points back to be able to build up our defenses on the other side of the fortress. This is where we are going to be defending from now, and we have quite the honeypot to be able to set up our defenses. These spike traps will be able to thin out any of the guys who start pounding on the door. Now that our traps are well established outside, we're going to build a kill room right here inside the door. This is pretty easy to do with laying up the ceiling lasers, and also I like layering them in this way so that we can fit in the snow cannon in between. The benefit here is that this also allows the snow cannons to kind of fire in sequence rather than all going off against the same enemy, as I find they sometimes want to do. Next, we are building our checkerboard of tar and brimstone. I like this combination. And out of this particular dark rift, the orcs are not going to be bringing any of the fiends, so they don't have the fire immunity. Instead, they're going to have a lot of trolls, are going to be the biggest problem enemy coming out on this side. And those guys are particularly weak to fire, which is why we are bringing in the brimstone. The only consideration that you really need here in terms of who you are targeting on this side of the wave is focusing down the trolls so that their health regeneration doesn't get out of hand and they're not able to punch through and surprise you. But you should have plenty of cash and a strong enough trap line to be able to defeat these waves fairly easily here in the middle portion of the battle. The mountain trolls are the heaviest guys here. Very high health pools, a lot of armor, and they also have continuous regeneration unless they are being directly affected by a status effect or lit on fire. So they are the ones that you really want to focus on if you do get the chance. We handled that wave pretty easily without our door even being touched. So now we're going to do something a little sneaky. We know that a dark rift is going to be opened up right out here on the corridor, so we're going to lay down a few traps to help us in case we need to sprint over and deal with whatever comes out of that rift. Otherwise, it's just making this kill room even stronger and letting wave 4 crash up against our defenses. Ooh, I do want to get that extra cash. All right, into the horde we go. Clear the way with some explosives. We picked it up and we made it out. Not bad. These archers are just so obscenely strong. All right, there is the first dark rift appearing. This one appears outside here in the general courtyard, so it is within our standard line of defenses. There's going to be one that is going to spawn later on that is going to be in that extra corridor where we laid those different spike traps. All right, here comes that other dark rift spawning up within our defenses, so we're going to move around and be ready to deal with whatever comes out of here. Lucky for us, our archers still have range of that outer balcony, so being able to handle them is pretty easy. Okay, now this is a little bit odd. My game has glitched, and it's done it twice now, where here at the end of wave 4, I'm still waiting to unleash, quote unquote, unleash the horde, but it's not showing the doors that the orcs are going to be coming through. They're going to be coming through all of them for the next 2 waves. So now is time to once again pick up our trap line, pack our bags, and move to make our final stand where we're going to have to fend off orcs from all directions. Here we get to pick where we make our final stand. This room is incredibly open, able to send orcs at us from any direction, so we're going to need to be clever with our barricades to force the orcs through a choke point where we are able to control them. These barricades block off our rift and force the enemies to approach through here, which we are going to establish as our next kill room. To make things even more efficient, we're going to force the enemies to approach through only one side of this room, and this is just going to be absolute hell for the orcs that are attacking us. Our room is complete. Lasers, snow cannons, brimstone, tar, and then these spike traps coming out of the walls that'll be able to knock back and stun the orcs, keeping them in the damage zones even longer. I feel pretty confident here, and as we gain more cash, we will just continue to extend the room out and around this corner, and then build extra defenses down this corridor as well. Here, the doors have finally updated to what they really are, and it gave me a 10-second countdown. It's an odd bug. I don't remember this happening on my very first playthrough. Maybe it was always there. I'm not sure, but here they come. We managed to survive up to this point without the orcs even breaching a single one of our doors. Now they're all gonna make it in. So the downside of this build is that it doesn't let you utilize the really powerful war scenario spells in these final waves. And you could do that. You could head out and put some archers out in these different positions where they would be able to fire on the advancing orcs. But it requires a lot of investment to be able to give them an efficient placement. And the efficiency of a kill room like this with a lot of layered traps and then also crowd control, slowing down the orcs, is enough to overcome the costliness of these individual traps. So this kind of method can work just fine. And here we see a dark rift opening up, but the enemies have to race around and try and fight us through our kill room. So let's go to the killing floor. Here it is, and they are already having a rough time of it trying to make it through. Ooh, all these fiends. So the fiends probably do the best because they don't get hit with the fire, but then again, the snow cannons are able to do really high damage against them. And then the armored ogres don't like the electricity, and the normal orcs and the trolls hate the fire. So all in all, it combos to be able to handle everything that this wave is throwing against us. They get 2 more dark rifts here. This is why it is so crazy to try and build. I think you really need this barricade around your rift in this situation, because otherwise they can come in behind whatever other defenses you think you can lay. It's getting hard to even see what types of enemies are coming against us, but this the room is proving to be pretty formidable for them to be able to navigate. And I really like the tar just constantly slowing them down. Final wave is upcoming. From here, you can build your defenses out pretty much however you see fit. I am going to keep on extending some of these spike traps out into this corridor and try and whittle down the enemies a little bit. By the time they reach the lasers, you can also extend down in this direction, or even use some of the war scenario spells, which are very efficient traps, and put them out in the front zones where the orcs are going to be coming through. But because these corridors get approached by every single orc spawned in the wave, I'm just choosing to buff up the defenses that I have placed out here. To make this room even worse, you can add in some of the confusion flowers, which will then make the enemies run back through the lasers, only to approach again later, being shredded to pieces the whole time. This war scenario is unique in that you don't have to face a final boss. The final boss is spawning these dark rifts, so you do need to be ready to respond to the dark rifts whenever they appear, when you have your defenses more tailored to a single line of approach. But here for these final two waves, we have finally been able to establish a defensive line that cannot be broken no matter where he puts his dark rifts, unless he was to place one right on top of us. Now, if this situation and this placement of traps is so efficient to be able to clear this final wave, you might be wondering why we didn't start building it from the very beginning. And that is because it takes a lot of investment to be able to get it to a situation where it is effective. We have thousands of points invested in barricades just to force the orcs through here, and from wave 1 we don't have that kind of cash to be able to invest in just barricades. You also do need a lot of investment just to have this kind of checkerboard of tar as well to control the enemies, and then have the damaging traps layered on top of that. So it's all working together here, and it's coming together pretty well for us. And that's why we're able to get away with it here on the final wave. Boy, this mountain troll actually made it through the hellscape that was that kill room. He is so close. He could see, he was like King Richard, able to see Jerusalem ahead of him, but not able to enter. If you get lulls in the action, go ahead and spend your points here on the final wave. You're not going to be able to use it again, and the orcs do just keep on coming and coming and coming, so buffing your defenses is a smart decision when you have a breather. Ooh, that little guy was going to sneak through. Good thing we picked him off, though. That wasn't the trap I wanted. Wanted spikes. If you have the archerer trap, you could work that in instead of the confusion flower, and placing a few archerers around here would also get a lot of work done, and they work great to be able to shoot down the guys who decide to run this gauntlet approaching into the room. So I could see that as being a improvement or a divergence in terms of what traps you like and bringing them in. It could be pretty effective. And would be fun because they just are given such a good firing range there, with the orcs diverted to move all around them. Cheers, guys, and I hope that you're able to beat the campaign as well.
They were children and still had much to learn. But this day, they became war mages.
Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment on how you have beaten the campaign, or if you see a way that I could improve my trap lines, let me know. Subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a good one.
You're safe. Looks like old Maxie saves the day again.